Hello, welcome back to my channel. Another video review. This time it's the Mexican Grand Prix, the first of a triple header ticked off. If you're a Mercedes fan, it pretty much wasn't a good day for you today, but still some solid points in the bag from Lewis. And if you're a Red Bull fan, could you have imagined this outcome after Saturday's qualifying? I couldn't. Once again, Lewis and Max going toe to toe, with Max taking his 9th win of the season to strengthen his chances of a first world championship. Was that a championship worthy drive from Verstappen today? Let me know down in the comments below what you thought of today's race. And without further ado, let's get into it.
Lights out and away we go here. And Bottas and Hamilton getting away ahead of Verstappen and Perez. And the wheel-to-wheel, the Mercedes. But what's happening behind? Perez pulls to the inside, Verstappen to the outside. They're three abreast at the moment, and there's three abreast behind them. Into turn one we go. Verstappen is into the lead. Ahead of Hamilton. Bottas gets tagged by Daniel Ricciardo. For the third consecutive race, he's going to extend his lead in the Drivers' Championship. And for the third time here, he wins the Mexico City Grand Prix. Max Verstappen crosses the line a long, long way clear of the rest. Lewis Hamilton and Sergio Perez, this has been the battle that's captured our attention for the closing stages. Checo gave it everything as Hamilton finishes second, and for the first time ever, we'll have a Mexican driver on the podium in his home race. Sergio Perez comes home to finish third.
Very quickly, let's start with qualifying. Straight out of the box, the Red Bulls looked very, very quick, and Bottas was the quicker than Mercedes. Red Bull looked very strong, so it was a big surprise to see Bottas take pole position, with Max and Sergio struggling with their lap. Bottas, taking pole, got a very special pole position award, a replica helmet from the legend Juan Manuel Fangio, a very special. With all the fallout after qualifying and Tsunoda being thrown under the bus by Christian Horner, I always thought Max qualifying in P2 with such a long run to turn 1 was not so bad. Clean side of the grid, and a car in front to give him a good tow, and that's exactly what happened. Max got a good start, so did Lewis. Bottas, I'll get to the rest of his race in a minute, but I really don't know what he was thinking. Leave a comment below if you can actually explain what Valtteri Bottas was doing at the start. I mean, to be fair to him, the track does widen into turn 1, but he left Max to race in line, which has been rubbing in over the weekend, leaving him and Lewis on the dirty side, and then he hit the brakes very early. Max was super late on the brakes and simply went around the outside and into P1. It was all carnage after that. Daniel Ricciardo, who also had a great start, dived down the inside, locked up and tagged Bottas, spinning him around, forcing all the oncoming cars to take avoiding action. Yuki Tsunoda and Mick Schumacher, all victims at turn 1, whilst Ricciardo had to box for a new front wing. On Bottas's race, I think there's only one image to sum up his race right here. Yeah, that's it, because he was stuck behind Ricciardo for pretty much the whole race. He had a terrible pit stop. In fact, he actually stopped 4 times. Twice because Mercedes needed him to take the fastest lap, which actually took him 2 attempts as Max cheekily held him up. He did get the fastest lap in the end, but really a weekend to forget for Valtteri, finishing in P15. It was very clear that once Max was ahead, he really had good pace, and Lewis was struggling to match Verstappen's pace. Lewis even coming on the radio to tell the team that he was quick. From then on, Max really pulled a gap out of undercut range pretty much in his own race. From then on, it was pretty clear that the action was only going to be between the hometown hero Sergio Perez and Hamilton for the second podium spot. Going through the field, we had 3 world champions, Raikkonen, Alonso and Vettel, running together again, all in the points too. A very solid race from Vettel after taking an engine penalty. He did have some luck with Giovinazzi pitting ahead of him. Giovinazzi was actually running in 6th at the start, but he was screwed over by his team's strategy and he was really pissed off about that. Oh, and we had Mazepin in 12th for a bit, but then he ended up last, getting lapped 3 times. Anyway, moving on. With Max out on his own, able to run whatever strategy he liked, Perez went 10 laps further than Hamilton, hoping to use the fresher rubber to overtake Lewis later on in the race. Lewis put up a good fight as Perez was very quick, cutting down a 9-second gap to get in within 1 second with 11 laps to go. But Lewis, with all his experience, drove the wheels off his car, barely making any mistakes, as he barely does anyway. The race finished with Max in P1, 16 plus seconds ahead of Lewis, finishing in P2 and denying Perez a P2 finish. Still a good finish for Perez, being the first Mexican to stand on the podium in Mexico. And you can see what it meant to the fans in that awesome stadium, and his family. Checo's dad, what a legend. Up there with some of the best podiums on the calendar. I am slowly, well not slowly, but quickly becoming a big fan of Pierre Gasly. This guy's been putting in solid performances. I hope they're not going unnoticed in the paddock, because if Red Bull don't want him, I'm sure a top team will take him. Another solid performance from him, finishing in P4 ahead of the Ferraris and the rest of the field being best of the rest. Gasly quietly having a great season, you know. Ferrari took a big step in their battle with McLaren, with both cars finishing in the points, whilst their rivals McLaren had a bit of a dismal weekend, Norris finishing P10 and Ricciardo finishing in 12th. Norris, to be fair, started at the back with a penalty, but they lost out to Ferrari, who scored big points to take them ahead of McLaren in the standings. Charles and Carlos both having a bit of a quiet race, alternating the strategies, swapping around trying to get P4, but that didn't really work out, so they ended up swapping back in the end. On to Brazil for these two teams now, with a battle that's almost as hot as the Drivers' Championship. So that was pretty much it then. A race controlled by Max after making that crucial overtake into turn 1, not much action through the field, and with a one-stop race it wasn't going to be as exciting as what we had in Austin. So what does this mean for the championship then? Verstappen extends his championship lead by 19 points ahead of Hamilton with 4 races and about 107 points remaining. With Red Bull finishing 1 and 3, it puts them 1 point behind Mercedes in the Constructors' Championship, and their battle continues in Brazil, coming up this weekend, the second part of the triple header. It was a great race last year, which Verstappen won after battling with Hamilton too, so let's hope this one's a really good race too. And there we have it, another video. Thanks for watching. Let me know down in the comments below if you think I forgot anything. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you again in the next video.